Welcome to Monk's Temple. Let's begin with a story. Not one from ancient texts, but a story that could happen today, maybe in your city, maybe to someone you know. Imagine two people, a man and a woman, living completely different lives on opposite sides of the planet. One is a corporate lawyer in Chicago. Her life is a series of deadlines, courtrooms, and the quiet hum of a high-rise apartment where she eats takeout alone. She's successful by every external measure, but inside, there's a persistent, low-grade anxiety. It's the feeling of running on a treadmill that never stops. One day, after a particularly brutal case, she closes her laptop, looks out at the skyline, and feels a profound sense of emptiness. She thinks, there has to be more than this. The other person is a shepherd in the Mongolian steppe. His world is vast, open, and silent. He lives with his animals, the changing seasons, and the infinite dome of the night sky. He has no email, no mortgage, no performance reviews. But he is not free. His mind is a storm of worries. Will the winter be too harsh? Will the wolves come? Has he honored the spirits of his ancestors correctly? He too looks up at the stars and feels a profound sense of separation, a loneliness that the vast landscape only amplifies. One is drowning in abundance. The other is drowning in austerity. But both are drowning in the same thing, a self that feels separate, anxious, and alone. Now, imagine both of them, independently, find a map. The lawyer finds a book on Buddhist meditation. The shepherd hears the poems of a Sufi mystic, Rumi, passed down through oral tradition. Neither knows the other exists. They begin to follow their respective maps. The lawyer starts to sit in silence, watching her breath. The shepherd starts to chant, spinning in devotional prayer. Years pass. The lawyer, now a meditation teacher, sits with a peace that the older couldn't have imagined. The shepherd, now an elder in his community, radiates a quiet joy that draws people from miles around. If they were to meet, what would they say to each other? They speak different languages, worship different gods, or know God, and have lived incomparable lives. But if they could somehow communicate the core of their transformation, they would describe the exact same thing. The day the separate self, the one who was anxious and striving, quietly disappeared. This is the mystery we're here to explore. How can two paths, with such radically different beliefs about the nature of reality, lead to the same psychological and spiritual destination? This isn't about saying all religions are the same. They aren't. The theology of a Buddhist monk in Thailand and a Sufi dervish in Turkey are worlds apart. But the experience of a transformed consciousness, the experience of what they both call the death of the ego, is so strikingly similar that it forces us to ask a deeper question. What is this self that can be dissolved by such different methods? And what does its dissolution reveal about the nature of our own minds? If you're here because you sense there's more to life than the daily grind, because you felt that whisper of something beyond the noise, you're in the right place. We explore the big questions here at Monk's Temple. If that calls to you, please consider subscribing and joining our community. Now, let's begin the journey inward. The Buddha's diagnosis of the human condition is startlingly simple, yet it's the hardest thing in the world to truly accept. He said we are suffering because we are trying to hold on to something that is, by its very nature, ungraspable. Imagine standing on the bank of a powerful river. You decide you want to possess a specific formation of water, a beautiful swirl, a temporary eddy. You jump in and try to hold it in your arms. But the moment you touch it, it's gone. It has flowed on, and you're left clutching nothing but wet arms and a sense of failure. The Buddha said our self is just like that river. It's not a thing, it's a process. He broke this process down into 5 categories, which he called the 5 aggregates. Think of them not as parts of a machine, but as 5 constantly flowing streams that create the illusion of a solid me. The first stream is the body, our physical form. This is the most obvious part of us, and the one we're most attached to. We spend billions of dollars a year trying to freeze it, decorate it, and stop it from changing. But from the moment we're born, the body is in a state of constant flux. Cells die and are replaced. Hair grows. Skin wrinkles. It's a process, not a statue. The second stream is feeling. This isn't emotion, but the raw, pre-verbal sensation of every experience as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. The touch of this keyboard is neutral. The taste of chocolate is pleasant. The sound of nails on a chalkboard is unpleasant. These feelings arise and pass away with every moment of contact with the world. We have no real control over them. They are just weather patterns moving through the mind. The third stream is perception. This is the labeling function of the mind. It recognizes the shape on the screen and says, letter. It recognizes the sound and says, music. It's the cognitive filing system that makes sense of the raw data coming in. This labeling process is also conditioned and fleeting, depending entirely on our past experiences. The fourth stream is mental formations. This is the big one. It's the river of our volitions, habits, thoughts, desires, and aversions. Every intention you have, every habitual reaction, every unconscious bias, every moment of will, this is the stream of mental formations. It's the karmic engine, constantly churning out new impulses based on old ones. The fifth stream is consciousness itself. This is the raw awareness that experiences the other 4 streams. It's the knowing faculty. But even this, the Buddha said, is not a permanent, unchanging self. It too is a process. Eye consciousness arises when the eye meets a form. Ear consciousness arises when the ear meets a sound. It's dependent, not independent. The Buddha's radical claim is that when you look for a self anywhere in or among these 5 streams, you simply cannot find it. There's no permanent, unchanging CEO in charge. There's just the flowing river. Our suffering begins when we try to freeze the river, when we cling to a pleasant feeling and demand it stay, when we push away an unpleasant one and demand it leave, when we identify with a thought and build a whole identity around it. We are trying to build a sandcastle on the shore of an incoming tide. The tide of impermanence always wins. Now, let's travel from ancient India to medieval Persia, and listen to a different language describing the same human predicament. The Sufis, the mystics of Islam, used a different metaphor. They saw the world not as a river, but as a palace of mirrors. And the self, the ego, or nafs, is the one who walks through this palace and sees only itself. Imagine you are in a hall of mirrors. Everywhere you look, you see your own reflection. You see it in 1,000 different shapes and sizes. You become captivated, terrified, proud, or ashamed of these reflections. You spend your entire life trying to arrange the mirrors to show you the best possible version of yourself. You polish one to highlight your strengths. You try to shatter another that reveals your flaws. You are in a constant relationship with your own image. For the Sufi, the fundamental mistake is believing that the reflections are real. The ego is this collection of reflected images, this hall of mirrors, mistaking itself for the original. The ultimate reality, which they call Allah, the divine beloved, is the source of light itself, the one true original that stands behind the mirrors. The goal of the spiritual path is not to get a better reflection, but to turn around. The great Sufi poet Rumi captured this with breathtaking simplicity. He said, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." Our suffering comes from thinking we are just the drop, a tiny, fragile, separate entity, afraid of drying up. We spend our lives trying to protect the boundaries of our drop, building up walls, fighting off other drops. But the truth, the mystic discovery, is that the drop was never separate from the ocean. Its essence is the ocean. The boundaries were always an illusion. This is the core of the Sufi path of fana, which means annihilation or passing away. It is the dissolution of the ego self into the divine. It is the drop realizing it was always the ocean. It's not about becoming God, that would be blasphemy in Orthodox Islam. It's about realizing that your separate existence was the illusion, and the only true existence is the divine. You don't merge with the ocean, you simply realize you are, and always have been, a part of it. The wave doesn't become the ocean, it just stops believing it's separate from the ocean. So we have two maps. One says, you are a river, constantly flowing. Stop trying to freeze it. See through the illusion of a solid self. The other says, you are a drop of the ocean, trapped in a hall of mirrors. Turn around and see what you truly are. The language is different. The destination, however, is described in eerily similar terms, a peace that surpasses understanding, a freedom from the tyranny of the ego, a boundless, non-dual awareness. Let me tell you a story that isn't in any scripture. A young fish, curious and intelligent, swims up to an older, wiser fish and asks, "Excuse me, sir. I've heard all my life about this thing called the ocean. People say it's vast and infinite and our true home. I've been searching for it for years. Can you tell me where to find it?" The older fish smiles gently and replies, "My child, you are in it. You were born in it. It is what you move through every moment of your life. The ocean is not a place you go to. It is the reality you are already in." The young fish, puzzled, says, This wet stuff. This can't be the ocean. It's just water. I'm looking for something magnificent, something holy. This is our condition. We are the fish, searching for the ocean, not realizing we are swimming in it. We look for happiness in a new job, a new relationship, a new possession, a new mirror to give us a better reflection. We look for meaning in philosophies, in religions, in concepts. But the Buddha and Rumi are both pointing to the same thing: the ocean is here, now. It is the awareness in which all these thoughts, feelings, and sensations are arising. You don't have to get to it. You have to realize you are of it. The self is the fish that thinks it's separate from the ocean. Ego death is the moment the fish stops asking, "Where is the ocean?" and simply experiences the reality of the water for the first time. It's not a destruction of the fish. It's a reorientation of its entire understanding. So how do we do this? How do we stop being the fish who's looking and become the fish who simply is? This is where the paths of Buddhism and Sufism diverge most dramatically in method, even as they converge in experience. Think of it as two doors leading to the same large, silent room. The first door, the Buddhist one, is the door of systematic investigation. It's quiet, methodical, and precise. The Buddha taught a practice called vipassana, which means to see clearly. You sit down, you quiet the body, and you begin to observe the five aggregates in real time. You watch the breath, the body. You notice if the sensation is pleasant or unpleasant, feeling. You see the mind label it, in-breath, perception. You observe the intention to keep paying attention, mental formation. You are simply aware of the knowing, consciousness. The instruction is simple. Don't interfere, just observe. See how everything arises and passes away. See how feelings come and go. See how thoughts pop up like bubbles in a pot of boiling water, only to vanish a moment later. You're not trying to stop the bubbles, you're just watching the boil. You're investigating the river, seeing its currents, its eddies, its constant flow. The goal isn't to stop the river. The goal is to stop clinging to it. You see, moment after moment, that none of it is a solid, permanent, you, or mine. The insight is not intellectual, it's a direct, gut-level seeing. And when that seeing becomes continuous, the illusion of the separate self collapses under the weight of its own evidence. It was never there. You don't destroy the self, you just realize you've been looking for something that never existed. It's like spending years searching for a hat that was on your head the whole time. The second door, the Sufi one, is the door of overwhelming love. It's passionate, ecstatic, and consuming. Instead of quiet observation, it uses powerful methods to burn away the ego. One method is dhikr, the rhythmic repetition of the names of God or phrases like, La ilaha illa Allah, there is no God but God. A person might repeat this thousands of times. At first, it's the tongue saying it. Then, it's the breath carrying it. Then, it becomes a heartbeat, a pulse in the blood. Finally, the one who is repeating and the one who is being invoked merge. The lover disappears into the beloved. The repetition continues on its own, without a doer. Another method is the famous sima, the whirling of the Mevlevi order, which Rumi's followers made famous. The dervish removes a black cloak, symbolizing the tomb of the ego. Underneath is a white robe, symbolizing spiritual rebirth. They begin to spin, right hand up to receive from the divine, left hand down to give to the world. The spinning is not just a dance, it's a technology. The physical rotation, combined with the music of the ney flute and the intention of the heart, creates a state of ecstasy where the ordinary mind cannot function. The fixed point of the ego dissolves into the whirling. There is no dancer, only the dance. No lover, only the love. One path cools the mind until it sees clearly. The other heats the heart until it melts. One uses the scalpel of mindfulness. The other uses the fire of devotion. Both, in the end, report the same thing, the disappearance of the one who was doing the work. Let me offer another original story to illustrate these two approaches. Imagine two artists who are each given a rough, massive block of granite and asked to reveal the beautiful form hidden within. The first artist is a sculptor. She sits before the block, studying it for weeks. She examines its veins, its cracks, its natural grain. She makes tiny marks, precise measurements. Then, day after day, she begins to work. She uses small chisels, fine rasps, and gentle taps of her mallet. She is methodical and patient. She chips away a millimeter here, a fraction of an inch there. She is constantly observing, checking, and refining. It takes her years. She does not fight the stone, she collaborates with it, removing everything that is not the final form. This is the Buddhist path. It is the slow, patient, precise removal of the delusions, the cravings, and the aversions, everything that is not the true, unconditioned nature of mind. The second artist is given the same block. But he doesn't use chisels. Instead, he builds a massive bonfire around the stone. He piles on wood, stoking the flames hotter and hotter. The fire roars, consuming everything in its path. The stone is heated to its core. Then, suddenly, he douses it with cold water. With a tremendous crack, the outer layers of the stone shatter and fall away, revealing the pure, untouched form inside. This is the Sufi path. It is the fire of divine love, burning so intensely that the ego shell cracks and falls away in an instant. The result is the same, a beautiful form is revealed. But the process could not be more different. One is gradual, the other sudden. One is cool observation, the other is fiery passion. The sculptor cannot understand the firemaker's reckless speed. The firemaker cannot understand the sculptor's painstaking slowness. Yet both arrive at the same destination. And both would tell you that the form was always there, hidden within the stone, waiting to be revealed. We live in a world that worships speed and results. We want the 3-step guide to enlightenment, the 5-minute meditation that will change our lives, the app that will hack our happiness. We treat spiritual paths like products to be consumed. We sample a little Buddhism, a dash of Sufism, a sprinkle of modern psychology, and we create a spiritual smoothie that we hope will nourish us. But Rumi and the Buddha both offer a warning here. The path is not a product. It's a process of unbecoming. The paradox is this: you cannot get rid of the ego because the one trying to get rid of it is the ego. It's like trying to bite your own teeth or lift yourself up by your own shoelaces. The ego is the ultimate shapeshifter. It can even use spirituality to strengthen itself. It can say, I am a very humble person. It can say, I am more enlightened than you. It can say, I had a profound ego-death experience. This is where the psychology of both traditions becomes incredibly sophisticated. They are not just techniques, they are traps for the ego. The Buddhist practice of noting thoughts as thinking is not just about being mindful. It's about subtly disidentifying from the thought. The thought is not me, it's just a mental event. The Sufi practice of seeing oneself as a nothing before God is not self-deprecation, it's a way of shrinking the ego until there's nothing left for it to cling to. Consider the modern example of a CEO who reads about ego death and thinks, great. I'll kill my ego so I can be an even more effective leader. That thought itself is the ego speaking. It's trying to use the path for its own ends. It's the drop trying to use the ocean to become a more powerful drop. It cannot work. The ego must be willing to lose, not to win. It must be willing to die, not to be reborn as a better CEO. This is the great doubt of Zen, the dark night of the soul, of Christian and Sufi mysticism. It's the terrifying place where all your maps are useless, and you have no idea who you are anymore. And it is precisely there, in that darkness, that the light begins to dawn. History offers us a fascinating, if speculative, subplot to this story. When Islam spread into Persia and Central Asia in the 7th and 8th centuries, it didn't move into a spiritual vacuum. These lands, particularly regions like Bamiyan in modern Afghanistan and the cities along the Silk Road, were vibrant centers of Buddhism. There were massive monasteries, universities with thousands of monks, and a rich culture of meditation and philosophy. Imagine those first encounters. A Muslim scholar, well-versed in the Quran and the sayings of the Prophet, arrives in the great Buddhist University of Nalanda's sister institution in Balkh. He meets a Buddhist monk who has spent 30 years in meditation. The monk explains his practice. I sit and observe the 5 aggregates. I see that there is no permanent self. All is impermanent and conditioned. The scholar listens, fascinated. He then describes his own path. We believe there is only one God, the real, the truth. Our goal is to dissolve the ego in him, to reach a state where only he remains. They are speaking different languages. One denies a creator, the other affirms one. But the scholar might see a profound resonance. The Buddhist monk's description of a mind free from the illusion of self sounds remarkably like the Sufi's description of a heart free from everything but God. The monk's emptiness, ****, might be understood by the Sufi as the absence of everything except the divine. Did this encounter influence the development of Sufism? We can't say for sure with academic certainty. There are no smoking gun manuscripts. The Quran and the life of the Prophet provide ample mystical material on their own. But the timing is suggestive. The great flowering of Sufi orders happened in the centuries immediately following this massive cultural contact zone. Ideas, like trade goods, have a way of traveling along the Silk Road. Whether they borrowed directly or simply discovered independently that the human mind, when pushed to its limits, reports the same fundamental truths, the parallels are undeniable. It's as if 2 groups of miners, digging from opposite sides of a mountain, broke through at the same time and found themselves in the same vast, glittering cavern. To understand the depth of the Sufi path, let's look at one of its most original and revolutionary figures. Rabia al-Adawiyya, an 8th century woman from Basra, in modern-day Iraq. Born into poverty, sold into slavery as a child, she became one of the most renowned mystics in Islamic history. Her innovation was in her concept of love. Before Rabia, much of Islamic piety was motivated by fear of hell or hope for paradise. People worshipped God as a powerful king to be obeyed for reward and to avoid punishment. Rabia turned this on its head. She famously used to carry a torch in one hand and a bucket of water in the other. When asked what she was doing, she said, I want to throw this torch into hell and pour this water onto paradise, so that people will worship God not out of fear of punishment or hope of reward, but simply for the sake of His eternal beauty. This is a profound psychological shift. As long as the ego is involved in the spiritual path, as long as there is a me who wants to get something, even if that something is paradise, or a me who wants to avoid something, even if that something is hell, the ego remains intact. It's just trading one set of desires for another. Rabia's love was pure, selfless, and utterly consuming. It was a love with no motive except love itself. This is the fire that can truly burn the ego away, because it offers the ego nothing in return. The ego cannot survive in an economy of pure giving. It needs to get something back. In Rabia's path, the lover asks for nothing. The beloved is enough. Her story shows us that the devotional path, when taken to its extreme, isn't sentimental or emotional in a simple way. It's radical and terrifying. It strips away all the scaffolding of religious motivation, fear, hope, identity, community, and leaves you alone with nothing but the object of your love. And in that aloneness, the separation collapses. On the Buddhist side, we have a similar radical deconstruction, but it's done with the laser of logic rather than the fire of love. The Heart Sutra, a core text of Mahayana Buddhism, is perhaps the most famous example. It's a short, potent discourse that systematically dismantles every concept we hold dear. The most famous line is, "Form is emptiness, emptiness is form." This isn't a metaphysical statement about the world being an illusion. It's a psychological statement about how we relate to the world. It means that anything we can perceive or conceive of, form, has no independent, permanent, self-existing reality, emptiness. It exists only in relation to other things, only as part of a web of cause and effect. And conversely, this emptiness is not a blank void separate from the world of form. It is the very nature of form itself. Think of it like this. You see a wave on the ocean. The wave has a form. You can measure it, describe it, even surf on it. But does the wave have a separate, independent existence? No. Its entire being is ocean. Its form is nothing other than a temporary shape taken by the ocean. When you see the wave as ocean, you are seeing form as emptiness. And you also see that the ocean is not somewhere else, it is right here, as this wave. That is, emptiness as form. The Heart Sutra goes on to say that because all things are empty of a separate self, there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no path, and no enlightenment. This is a mind-bending paradox. It's saying that the very categories we use on the spiritual path are themselves empty constructs. The goal is to see that there was never a real self to suffer in the first place, and therefore no real liberation to be achieved. Liberation is not a destination you arrive at. It's the recognition that you were never truly bound. The chains were made of smoke. You just had to realize you could walk right through them. This is the logical end of the Buddhist investigation. It leaves you with nothing to hold on to, not even Buddhism itself. The raft is to be abandoned once you've crossed the river. This is the great death of Zen. Let me offer another original story to tie these two approaches of love and logic together. Imagine two candles, unlit, placed in a completely dark room. They are identical. A person enters the room and, using a match, lights the first candle. The room fills with a soft, warm light. The person then takes the flame from the first candle and uses it to light the second candle. Now, here are the questions. After the second candle is lit, does the first candle have less flame? No, its light is undiminished. Does the second candle have a separate, independent flame? No, its flame is identical in nature to the first, and it owes its existence to it. But is it the same flame? Not exactly. It's a continuation, a sharing. Now, imagine we ask the first candle, what is your light? It might answer, like a Buddhist, through analysis, my light is not my own. It arose from a match, which arose from friction, which arose from a hand, which arose from a body. It is dependent on everything. It has no independent self. It is empty of a separate me. Now imagine we ask the second candle, what is your light? It might answer, like a Sufi, through love, my light. It is not mine. It is the light of my beloved, the first candle. I have no light of my own. I am simply a reflection, an extension of that original light. To speak of my light is a mistake. There is only the one light, shining through two forms. Both candles are describing the same reality. The light is not a collection of separate, independent entities. But one describes it through the lens of interdependence and emptiness, the other through the lens of unity and emanation. The difference is in the poetry, not the physics. Now let's bring this into a contemporary frame. There's a well-known study in psychology about the brain's default mode network, DMN. This is a set of brain regions that become active when we are not focused on the outside world. When we are daydreaming, ruminating, thinking about ourselves, or projecting into the past and future. It's the neurological correlate of the narrative self, the one that is constantly telling the story of me. It's the seat of the ego. Neuroscientists have put advanced meditators, both Buddhist and others, into fMRI machines. What they've found is that during deep meditation, the default mode network quiets down. The neural activity that underpins the sense of a separate, continuous self decreases. In moments of profound meditative absorption, it can go almost completely offline. The subject reports a loss of self, a feeling of boundlessness, a merging with experience. Isn't that fascinating? Science is now empirically validating what the mystics have been saying for millennia. That self is not a thing in the brain. It's a process, a network of activity. And that network can be temporarily dissolved through specific mental training. The scanner doesn't know if the person in it is a Buddhist monk who has been practicing mindfulness for 30 years or a Sufi who has been practicing Daikr. It just sees the same network deactivate and the same regions associated with bliss, unity, and peace light up. This doesn't prove that God exists or that dependent origination is true. But it does prove that these two very different technologies of contemplation are both accessing and modifying the same fundamental structure of the human mind. They are different keys that open the same lock. The lock is the human potential for transcendence, for moving beyond the narrow confines of the ego into a state of vast, aware peace. The psychologist might call it an altered state of consciousness. The Buddhist calls it glimpsing nibbana. The Sufi calls it a taste of fana. The words don't matter. The experience is the data. Here's one more original parable to help solidify this. There was once a brilliant architect who designed the most beautiful buildings in the world. Skyscrapers, museums, cathedrals, his name was on them all. He was famous, wealthy, and respected. But he had a recurring nightmare. In the dream, he would walk through his greatest building, and as he walked, the walls would become transparent, then fade away entirely. The floors would dissolve beneath his feet. The roof would vanish, leaving him standing in empty space. He would wake up in a cold sweat, terrified of losing his creation, his identity, his self. Finally, he sought help from a wise old woman who lived in a hut at the edge of the city. He told her his nightmare. She listened patiently and then said, "Your dream is not a curse. It is a prophecy." The architect was confused. A prophecy of what? Ruin? No, she said. Of liberation. In your waking life, you believe you are the architect of these solid buildings. You believe you are the name on the plaque. You cling to these forms. But your dream is showing you the truth. The walls are not solid. The floors are not permanent. The roof is an illusion of shelter. All of it is just space, arranged for a time. Your nightmare is the death of the architect, the death of the one who needs the buildings to be real. When you can stand in the empty space and not be afraid, you will have found your true home. The architect didn't understand, but he went home and thought about her words. That night, he had the dream again. The walls began to fade. But this time, instead of panicking, he tried to relax. He let them fade. The floor dissolved, and he felt himself floating. The roof vanished, and he looked up into an infinite, starry sky. And for the first time, he felt not terror, but an incredible sense of peace, of freedom, of homecoming. He woke up smiling, and the nightmare never returned. The architect is the ego. The buildings are the structures of our life, our identities, achievements, relationships, and beliefs. The nightmare is the creeping fear of impermanence that haunts us all. The wise woman is the voice of the mystic, Buddhist or Sufi, telling us that the solution is not to build stronger walls, but to learn to love the empty space. Both the Buddha and Rumi were masters of using language to point beyond language. They knew that the ultimate truth could not be captured in a philosophical system. It had to be experienced. And so, both of them, at the crucial moment, fell silent. Or they used language in a way that broke the mind's habit of grasping for answers. The Buddha's famous response to the metaphysical questions, is the world eternal? Does the enlightened one exist after death, was silence. He held up a leaf in his hand and said that what he had taught was like a handful of leaves, but what he knew was like all the leaves in the forest. He was not being coy. He was being compassionate. He knew that any answer he gave to those questions would be turned into another concept for the ego to grasp, another building for the architect to build. The goal was not to answer the question, but to free the questioner. Rumi, too, constantly points to the limits of words. He said, "Silence is the language of God, all else is poor translation." His poetry is full of paradoxes and contradictions designed to short-circuit the logical mind. He doesn't want you to understand him, he wants you to feel what he felt. He wants you to be whirled by his words into a state of bewilderment where the only thing left is love. This is the deepest point of convergence. Both traditions are ultimately apophatic, they speak by unspeaking. They use the raft of the teaching to get you across the river, and then trust that you will leave the raft behind. The goal is not to become a good Buddhist or a good Sufi. The goal is to become free. And freedom, by its very nature, cannot be described to someone who is still in prison. You can only describe the prison. You can only point to the door. Walking through it is something you have to do alone. Let's get very practical for a moment. Let's apply these two paths to a modern psychological problem, the inner critic. That voice in your head that says you're not good enough, smart enough, or lovable enough. This voice is a core function of the ego. It's the part of the self that is constantly judging, comparing, and finding fault. Now, how would a Buddhist approach the inner critic? They would sit in meditation and invite the critic in. They wouldn't argue with it or try to suppress it. They would simply observe it as a mental formation, a stream in the river. Ah, there is the voice of judgment. There is the feeling of shame. There is the tightness in the chest. They would see these not as a reflection of a real, flawed self, but as impersonal phenomena arising and passing away due to conditions. They would see that the critic is not me or mine. It's just a conditioned habit pattern. By observing it without engagement, they starve it of the attention it needs to survive. They see through its illusion of authority. The critic, faced with a calm, non-reactive awareness, eventually loses its power and fades away. The river of judgment just flows on, and you're no longer standing in it. How would a Sufi approach the same inner critic? They would use the alchemy of love. When the critic's voice arises, they would not fight it. They would say, even this voice, even this judgment, is a veil that separates me from you. Even this feeling of worthlessness is a sign that I am looking at myself instead of at you. They would take that negative energy and use it to fuel their longing for the divine. They might turn it into a prayer, "O God, you alone are the perfect. I am nothing. Purify me of this illusion of separation that creates this critic." They would drown the critic's voice in the louder, more persistent repetition of the divine name. The critic is a small, dark room. The Sufi opens the door to the ocean of divine love and lets it flood in. The darkness doesn't stand a chance. Same problem. Same solution of non-engagement. But one does it through cool observation, the other through passionate redirection. One uses wisdom, the other uses love. Imagine a pond in the depths of winter. Its surface is frozen solid. A child wants to see the water, so they take a hammer and try to break the ice. They chip away, but the ice is thick, and they only make a small hole. This is like fighting the ego directly. You can spend a lifetime chipping away at your flaws, and you might make some progress, but the fundamental structure remains. A different person comes along. They understand that the ice is just frozen water. They don't attack the ice. Instead, they wait for spring. They simply create the conditions for warmth. They plant flowers around the pond, they reflect sunlight onto it. They do nothing directly to the ice. They just tend to the warmth. And when the warmth is sufficient, the ice melts from within, all by itself, and the pond returns to its natural, fluid state. The hammer is willpower, self-improvement, and fighting the ego. The warmth is awareness and love. The Buddhist path of mindfulness cultivates the warmth of clear seeing. The Sufi path of devotion cultivates the warmth of divine love. Both melt the ice of the ego without ever directly attacking it. You cannot fight the ego and win, because fighting is its game. You can only melt it with something stronger, the light of awareness or the fire of love. So, where does this leave us, you and me, sitting here in the 21st century. We have access to all the world's wisdom traditions. We can read the Buddha's discourses online and Rumi's poetry on our phones. We can attend a mindfulness class on Monday and a Sufi music concert on Friday. This is an unprecedented spiritual privilege, and also a potential trap. The trap is to become a collector, not a practitioner. We don't have to choose one path and dogmatically reject the other. But we must practice. We can learn from both. From Buddhism, we can learn the discipline of daily sitting. We can learn to investigate our own experience with a scientist's curiosity. We can learn the profound truth of impermanence by simply watching our breath for 10 minutes. We can learn to see our thoughts as clouds passing through a vast sky. This practice builds a foundation of stability and clarity. From Sufism, we can learn the power of the heart. We can learn that the intellect is not enough. We can learn to approach life, and the divine, with the attitude of a lover, not a merchant. We can find practices that open the heart, whether it's through poetry, music, or a simple prayer of gratitude. We can learn to see beauty as a signpost to the transcendent. We can cultivate a longing for something beyond the mundane. The path of integration is to sit in meditation, the Buddhist method, and feel the love for all beings, the Sufi heart. It is to investigate the nature of reality, Buddhist wisdom, and surrender to the mystery that lies beyond it, Sufi devotion. It is to see the self as empty, Buddhist insight, and to experience that emptiness as full of love, Sufic realization. The two languages, when truly understood, do not contradict, they complement. They describe different facets of the same priceless gem. For our final story, let's return to the image of light. Imagine two ancient lamps, each with its own unique design, its own fuel, and its own story. One lamp is made of clay, simple and unadorned, and it burns the oil of pressed sesame seeds. The other is made of hammered brass, intricate and beautiful, and it burns precious attar of roses. For centuries, people argued about the lamps. The followers of the clay lamp said, "Our lamp is the true lamp. It comes from the earth, from the simple life. Its oil is pure and its light is humble and true." The followers of the brass lamp said, "No, our lamp is the true lamp. It is crafted with skill and devotion. Its fuel is the essence of beauty itself, and its light is fragrant and intoxicating." They debated endlessly, each unable to see the value in the other. One day, a traveler came who had seen both lamps. He sat in the room where they both burned. He looked at the clay lamp. He looked at the brass lamp. Then he looked at the light they both cast on the wall. The light from the two lamps mingled perfectly. He couldn't tell which ray came from which source. It was just one, unified, golden light, illuminating the room. He turned to the debaters and said, "You argue about the vessels and the fuels. But I am in love with the light. And the light is one. The Buddha and Rumi are the lamps. Their traditions, their methods, their theologies are the vessels and the fuels. They are beautiful, precious, and worthy of respect. But what they point to, what they illuminate, is the light of awakening, the light of a consciousness freed from the prison of self. When we experience that light, the arguments about the lamps fall silent. We don't need to prove that one lamp is better. We just need to be grateful for the light that guides us home. Let's take a moment now. This is the part of the story where the telling stops, and the experiencing begins. You don't have to do anything. Just listen, and let the words guide you inward. Find a comfortable position, if you can. Just gently close your eyes, or soften your gaze on the floor ahead. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, let go of any tension you might be holding. Just for this moment, there is nowhere to go, nothing to do. Now, just bring your attention to the sensation of breathing. Feel the air entering your body, and feel it leaving. Don't try to control it. Just let it be natural. In and out. The breath is flowing all by itself, isn't it? You're not doing it. It's happening. Now, notice the thoughts that come and go. Like clouds drifting across a vast sky, they appear, linger for a moment, and then pass away. You are not your thoughts. You are the sky in which they appear. Notice any feelings in your body. A warmth, a coolness, a tingling, a pressure. Just notice them. They arise, they change, they pass away. You are not your feelings. You are the awareness that knows them. Notice the sense of being a separate person, sitting here, listening to a voice. Notice how that me feels solid and real. Now, see if you can find exactly where that me is located. Is it in your head? In your chest? Can you find its edges? Just be curious. Is the me a thing, or is it just another thought, another feeling, another sensation? Now, imagine for a moment that you are not a drop of water, separate from the ocean of life. Imagine that you are the entire ocean, expressing itself, for this brief moment, as a wave. The wave has its form, its dance, its moment in the sun. But it knows it is made of ocean, and it will return to ocean. Just rest in that possibility. Rest in the awareness that is noticing all of this. That awareness itself, it has no form, no color, no size. It doesn't come and go. It's simply here, always. It is the light in the room, before you even light the lamps. It is the ocean, before the waves appear. Just rest there, in that silent, aware space, for a few more breaths. This is your true home. This is what the Buddha pointed to. This is what Rumi sang about. When you're ready, gently bring your awareness back to the feeling of your breath, back to the room. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you feel ready, you can slowly, gently open your eyes. The Buddha sat under a tree and woke up. Rumi spun in the marketplace and dissolved. They used different methods, spoke different languages, and believed different things about the ultimate nature of reality. One might have looked at the other's path and not recognized it as a path at all. And yet, the core of their message is the same. The self you think you are is a construction. It is the source of your suffering. And it is possible to see through it, to let it go, to die before you die. They both invite you on the same journey. Not to become a Buddhist or a Sufi, but to become what you already are, beneath all the layers of conditioning, belief, and fear. They invite you to test their maps for yourself. Sit for 10 minutes a day and just watch the river of your mind. Or, When you feel overwhelmed by life, whisper a word of love or gratitude until it fills your entire being. See what happens. See if the ice doesn't begin to melt. See if the drop doesn't begin to feel the pull of the ocean. The historical questions are interesting, but the personal question is urgent. Are you willing to take the journey? The path is open. It always has been. The guideposts are there, left by countless travelers over millennia. The only thing required is the first step. Thank you for spending this time with us at Monk's Temple. If this exploration has stirred something in you, if you want to go deeper with us, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. We have many more journeys to take together, into the heart of Zen, the poetry of the mystics, the wisdom of the desert fathers and mothers, and the practical psychology of awakening. Until next time, be kind to yourself. Be curious. And remember, the ocean you are seeking is the very water you are swimming in. Keep walking.